I built an AI voice receptionist and it's running right now for real businesses. It answers calls 24 hours a day, handles full conversation, and books appointments straight into the calendar, no human needed. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly how it works. I'm going to show you what goes on underneath the hood, and I'm going to go on a live call for you right now. By the end, you'll have a clear picture whether this is going to work for your business. Here's the problem. Most small businesses miss over half of their calls. They're on a job, with a customer, in a meeting, and nobody picks up. And here's the thing about missed calls. They don't wait. 62% of people who can't get through to you go straight to a competitor. Not tomorrow, right away. Now, there's one estimate that puts the average revenue loss from missed calls for small businesses at £100,000. I can't verify that that happens for every business, but I know for a fact that that logic holds. The fix sounds almost too simple. Just make sure someone answers the call every time. That's what an AI receptionist does. It answers every call 24 hours a day, never takes any sick days. It handles conversations naturally, books appointments directly into your calendar. No more voicemail messages, no more, we'll just get back to you. It's done. Don't need that anymore. Think of it like hiring a receptionist who works every hour of the day, never has a bad day, never calls in sick. That's not a rough analogy. This is generally what it does. I've built one, it's live, and I'm going to call this right now. So I'm now going to dial the number that this receptionist is set to and then book an appointment in real time.
There, I'm Maddie with Open Pest Control. How can I help you today?
Hi Maddie, can I book an appointment for 4 p.m. on Thursday, please?
Absolutely, I can help with that. Before we get started, have you used Open Pest Control before?
I haven't, no.
Thank you for letting me know. I just need a few details to get you set up. Can I start with your first name, please?
Yes, Bob, B-O-B.
Thank you, Bob. Just to confirm, that's B-O-B?
Yes.
Perfect, thank you, Bob. And could you spell your last name for me?
D-Y-L-A-N.
Thank you, Bob. So your last name is spelled D-Y-L-A-N, correct?
Yes.
Great, thank you. And what's the best phone number to reach you on? I'll read it back to confirm.
That would be 012-345-6789.
Thank you, Bob. Let me confirm 01234566789. Is that correct?
Yep, that's correct.
Perfect, thank you. Now, just to confirm, you'd like to book an appointment for 4 o'clock p.m. this Thursday. Is this for a general pest control treatment, or do you have a specific pest issue you'd like us to address?
Just general pest, please.
Thank you, Bob. We have availability for general pest control this Thursday at 4 o'clock p.m., 4:30 p.m., and 3:30 p.m. Which of these would you like to book?
4 p.m. is great.
You're all set, Bob. I booked you for a general pest control treatment this Thursday at 4 o'clock p.m. Is there anything else I can help you with today?
No, that's everything. Thank you. So that's how the system works. Let me show you what's underneath it. So this agent essentially runs on 2 layers. You have N8N, which handles all the automation and the calendar booking. And then you have VAPI, which is where we create the actual voice agent. So let's jump into this. It starts with this webhook node here. And essentially what this webhook does is it just sits there and it waits until data is sent to it. So when tools are called during the call, that data from the tool will be sent to this VAPI webhook, which will then go through the rest of the workflow. Once that data comes in, we then go to this code node. In this node, we're essentially labeling all the data that's coming in, so then the workflow can use it later on. So we then move on to the switch node. And because we have just labeled the data in the code node, once it hits this node, the workflow can then make a decision which path the workflow will continue to go down. So on the call, the first thing that the agent does is it checks whether the requested time that the caller has asked for is available. So it will first go down the check calendar route. And as you can see, that is set up in this rule here. So what this essentially does is it checks what tool has come through And if it is equal to check calendar, it will then go down this route here. So once the workflow goes down the check calendar route, it then goes into this get events Google Calendar node. So what this node does is it gets all the events that are in the same day as the caller has requested. And all the events in that day will then go to the output. So next we have an if node. An if node is basically a yes or no question. If there's nothing in the calendar at all, then it's pretty simple. All slots are free. We can then skip ahead and give the caller a full list of the available slots. But if there are some slots that have been booked in the calendar, then the workflow will have to do some maths. This math is done by these two nodes here, so the aggregate block and the code node here. So what the aggregate block does is it takes all those events and breaks it down into a single tidy list. And if you just copy this, this is how it is set up. And what the code node does is it breaks all the inputs down into more manageable pieces. So if I just expand this quickly. So what this code does is it goes through every 30-minute slot that is in the calendar. It removes any slot that conflicts with an existing booking, and then it adds a 1-hour buffer on top. So the reason why a 1-hour buffer is added is because it uses logic as a normal human receptionist would. If you try to book an appointment at 1 p.m. and it's 12:30, there's no way your technicians are going to be able to make that appointment. And that's why this logic is added into the code node. Once it has done that, it will then output all the available slots that can be booked. We then have another if node which checks whether the day is fully booked. So if there are no available slots in the day, then it will go down one route. But if there are available slots, then it will continue down the other route. This will then be fed back to the receptionist through these webhooks here. So if the receptionist hasn't found any available slots on that day, it will then ask the caller to request a different time. But for this example, let's say a slot has been found, it will then come all the way back down and then go up the book route. But before anything is booked into the calendar, it goes through one final check just to make sure. And it checks whether that requested time on that exact date is still available in the Google Calendar. So once that final check is done, we then move forward to this next logic step, which tells the agent whether that slot is still available. And again, we're going to assume that the slot is still available. So we'll go up this true path to the create Google Calendar appointment. What this does is it creates the event in full in the Google Calendar using all the data that the caller has given them. So as you can see here are the details that will be added to the Google Calendar meeting. So some of the data that's extracted from the call is the reason for the call. So for example, a general pest inspection. And we also have the name of the caller that's added to the meeting. And that is just a quick rundown of how this works. There's also an additional step that you can take, which is adding a booking confirmation. For that, you will also need to try and extract the email during the call. And then that data can then be added into this node and a confirmation email will be sent to the customer. Now, moving on to how this VAPI agent works. So as you can see here, I've set the model to GPT 4.1. From my experience using voice agents, this is one of the best that I've used. You add your first message, this can be anything. And then here's the system prompts, which is where everything works. We have the role, context, specifics, then we'll have the knowledge base, which will have all the relevant company information in there. That will be things such as what services the company provides, what pricing you can have. And then just to make the agent a bit more reliable, I like to use some examples. You can also set the agent's tone and style. And then to make sure that the call ends correctly, I like to add this end of call section as well. We also use a notes section at the bottom here, which is basically just giving the agent just a little bit more information on usually the things that they shouldn't be doing. So we also need to add a couple of tools to this agent. So the first is the book calendar tool. So this is how you set it up. You name the tool, add a brief description about what the tool will do, and then you'll have to add some parameters. So in this case, the book calendar tool will take the name, the reason for booking, and also the requested time. And then in this server URL here, this is where you will post your VAPI webhook URL, which would be the production URL here. The second tool is then the check calendar tool, which is what will be used to check if there are any available slots in the calendar. It's set up exactly the same way. So first you name the tool, write a brief description, and then in this case, we just use the requested time as one of the parameters. And again, we just want to be pasting that webhook in here. Once we have set those tools up, you want to go to your agent, go to the tools section, and then it'll scroll down, and then you go to the drop-down box where you'll select the tools that you've just created. If you're thinking this could work for your business, then the first step is knowing exactly where this could fit. That's exactly what the AI transformation strategy is for. It's specific to your business, your problems, and you leave knowing exactly what to build. Links in the description.